So we should talk about the interesting part in the middle of this film.
Oh, yeah.
That's out of nowhere.
Yeah. Out of nowhere. So Linet gets kidnapped by King Mark's forces, who are, again, Cornwall is apparently this secret pagan enclave in, Arthur's Britain, and they don't want the establishment of Christianity on the island. Again, this is kind of an interesting plot, especially for 1954.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? And when I say they're supposed to be pagans, I'm saying they have a human sacrifice attempt at Stonehenge. Yeah. We're going full on British paganism.
So up to the just typical B movie night stuff. Suddenly it turns into Ken Russell's a Ken Russell scene.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's somewhere between Lair of the White Worm and the Wicker Man.
I know.
This scene is amazing. It's the best thing in the whole
film. Women dancing, frolicking on the stones, and
so they build this replica of Stonehenge, which, by the way, it's a little too clean to be Stonehenge. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right, and that's fine.
Well, we find out what happens.
Well, we'll get there. So you have a complete Stonehenge, right? That. Again, it's again, the lines are a little too clean. But here you've got Stonehenge, and you've got Druids.
Druids.
I was not expecting Druids to show up. So you've got the Druids at Stonehenge are going to sacrifice Linet, the Black Knight's girlfriend.
Which they put in a wig?
They put a blonde wig on her.
I didn't follow why that happened.
Well, the reason that happened was because the stunt woman was blonde.
Oh, man.
That's the only reason.
Movie, man.
This movie is so weird because on the one hand there are things that look great. Again, they're using castles and horses and plate armor, and then they also just cheap out in the weirdest ways. Why?
But the scene where they're, I guess it's under Stonehenge, there's
there's a secret passage under Stonehenge where they have their hideout, which again, interestingly enough, Doctor Who. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is during the 11th Doctor, and when they go underneath, it's literally the same setup, and I'm sure that they were thinking of this movie because this movie stars the second Doctor.
Exactly.
This movie absolutely is connected to Doctor Who in more than one way.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, that's exciting. Yeah. So they have, this space, this, hideout underneath, tunnels underneath Stonehenge.
Yeah.
What would you want to say?
And then there's these skulls, and they all have wigs on them, and so they take one wig from it and put it on her. I'm like, did they build this set just so they could?
They sure did.
Oh,
it's so weird.
Speaking of, we forgot to mention the minstrel at the beginning.
Well, we'll go back to that. We'll go back to that. But so yeah, they have her tied up to be sacrificed at Stonehenge, and you have all of these women in white writhing around, and I'm watching this. I'm just like, did they watch some Italian surrealist films, in preparation for this? Because it's the 50s. They could easily have been watching something and God Created Women or something. They could have been watching some Italian films because this is what this looks like, because it's the sexiest thing that 1954 could have possibly handled. I'm kind of shocked that they did this. You've got these women in these white dresses dancing around, honestly writhing, while they're going to kill this woman, and you've got
and the priests are in these wooden cages. They've got flames under them and all.
Yeah, they've captured the monks, and they have flames under them in their wooden cage. First of all, they could easily have set these actual actors on fire. Yeah. It does not look safe.
It doesn't. No.
Including when they cut them down and the cages fall into the fire. I'm hoping those were dummies, but I'm not entirely sure that they were. Yeah. Because again, it's the 50s. They kind of didn't care. But and then you have the priests at Stonehenge, and they're in red robes with these gold kind of ornaments on them. And I've definitely seen those images in old books about Druids and Stonehenge and paganism. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They've definitely looked at some books that I've looked at.
There's a lot of awesome headwear in this movie.
Actually, there's some really cool helmets in this. There's some really good headwear. There's one guy who's got a helmet with a skull on top of it. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole scene is so out of the blue and completely does not fit the character of the time period of these films, especially for stuff made in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's great. I absolutely love this scene. The scene actually makes the whole film for me, because like it's just so out of the blue. And so of course, our Black Knight shows up and like,
not Alan Ladd.
No, it is definitely not. But he leads, I guess, King Arthur to Stonehenge, and then they, as you say, we find out why does Stonehenge look the way it does. It's because King Arthur pulled over a bunch of the stones.
Yet again. It's just a thing in the 50s. They want to knock down Stonehenge.
They do, exactly. So they knock down Stonehenge.
To refute the evil that was happening at this place or something. Yeah.
Right, because they're trying to overcome paganism.
Yeah.
Again, this is not at all the plot that I was expecting from a movie in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Because
in 1954, this is like early 50s.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If this film had been made in like 1969, I'd go, oh well, this just kind of falls into like the kind of the growing folk horror type of films, and stuff like Witchfinder General and whatnot. This is so early for that. I was absolutely shocked that this was a part of the film, and like it's not a long part of the film, but it's the most interesting thing in it.